Good evening and welcome to another video in the Artful Coder series on clean architecture. Tonight we're going to cover hooking our solution up to a database so we can see it persisting. And I'm going to talk you through some practices on this. So this isn't just a case of setting a database up. I'll talk you through some security things and rights you'll need for an entity framework. So in our previous videos, we've created all the various layers of our clean architecture solution. So for example, we just do this, debug, start new instance, and what we should see is our web API loading up. So what we've got is one endpoint, which is add car. At the moment, it doesn't do much because we're not persisting the data. LD, let's just change that to Series 7, this is BMW. Number of wheels can be 4. Colour red and XX22. And if we execute that, what should happen is we just get a 0 because we've not hooked up to persistent storage. So it's successful, proves the code's working, but we've not got a database. So let's just stop that. So in our previous exercises, we built our first use case, etc. So it's in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this connection. I'll show you the best practices around that. So what we need to do is go into app settings.json. So this is on your web API. So you need to go onto there. And what we're going to do is add a new section called, not dots, connection strings. And we've got a new one called that. Yep. And then we're going to put in here. So what is it? So say server, so it needs to know where we're going to first, equals, and we'll just start SMSM up. So you need SQL Server Management Studio as well. So let's go and have a look. Let's just go load up. So our service, we want to copy that because we're on an instance with this. Do that. So that's our server. And the next thing you'll need is a database. So that parameter in there. And we'll call this cars DB. Next is a user ID, so user ID is a space in this, and let's call it cars. Always get in the habit of creating logins for each of your applications. So we want a password. What I always like to do as well is go to let's put a few characters in. Always use secure passwords is what I recommend. So let's just have a look. So let's just say ffgg at 45678 fd1 there. There you go. It's something that's not 100% probably as how you want to make it, but make it so it's hard to guess. So let's put some DD in there as well. The next parameter guard is trusted underscore connection equals SPI and encrypt, do what encrypt. We're not at this stage, so we'll just set that false. And the last priority we want to add is trust server certificate. I think that's TIFF. I can't spell. And we're just going to look at that, see how we do that. So that's how we do it. Equals true. So now what you've got is you've got your connection string. So the next thing we need to do is create a database for this to persist. And what I mean by that is a database is persistent storage. You could use a series of JSON files or a MongoDB, but I like to keep with SQL for now. So we're going to copy this password. Our password we created. And in entity, in SSMS, we're going to create a new database. We'll show you how to do all of that. Okay. Databases. So what we're going to do is do create new database. Now we're going to call this, what do we call it? CarsDB. So CarsDB. And you may want to check your file paths, etc. So create a new database. The next thing what I do is create a login. So we do logins, create a new login, and we call it SQL authentication. Cars, remember, keep it the same. There you go, we've created a password with some kind of complexity. And what you want to do next is you need to assign it permissions. So choose CarsDB and DB owner for entity framework. That's all you need to do. So there's a couple of other things we do need to do as well. So what we need to do next is set this as our startup project, and we need to go into package manager console. Where is it? Got to remember package. Where is package manager console? Let's have a look. Use. I always get confused by this. Tools. Right. Let's have a look. Package manager. So it's under tools in the Visual Studio. Package manager console. That's what you want. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a migration. So what this is this is our first creation. So the thing we want to check as well, we've got our models and the domains here and interfaces, which we've done. So if we go into DB context, what have we got? Brilliant. So it's going to create a table called car. Now, if you don't want that to be called car, you can change this in your models in your domain, and you can then put table name and schema. So for example, we could call this table name equals, and you can do all that. So you can actually set overriding terms and schema as well, but we'll just keep it simple. We'll call it of type car, and the primary key is car ID. So let's see what happens. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say add dash migration, call it initial. The very first one could be called whatever you want, abbreviation, or initial, it's called migration. Let's see what this does. This may complain because we've not got the right project, but we'll have a look. It's going to build. Yep, that is why. Does it? Oh, okay. Okay, so that's just a reference. So this is good. So this is saying Web API, dependencies, frameworks. Okay, so we need to go to, what haven't we got? Oh, it needs that in there. Okay, so management packages. And we'll just say entity framework dot design. Okay, want to be on browse, and if I can type it, framework dot design. There you go, you're going to want that. So do 7 to remember, because we're on .NET 7, use 7.16, not 8, because that's a .NET 8, but we may upgrade a project. So let's have a look. Say apply, I accept, and we'll keep going through this until we get it working. So the next thing you need to do is your default project wants to be infrastructure. The way Entity Framework works with the clean architecture, it sort of mashes together this and that. That's how we set it up. So let's do it again. So if we just go into here, do add migration, and see what happens next. And it's going to think about it. There you go. So you've got a migration. So that's a good sign. So what we can do next, so what we should be able to see now, let's just go to CarsDB's tables. Nothing in there yet, so shall we try and run it on a database? So update, the next command you need is update database. And let's see what this does. Keyword not supported. Oh, okay. So we've got a problem with our connection string. So let's have a look back at our connection string we put in. So it's trust server. Okay. Let's have a look. So trust. It would help if I spelt it correctly. So let's run that again. That's me doing a typo. Let's see what happens now. Have we got it created? Let's have a look. So what we should find now, if we do refresh, there you go. See, you've got the migration system. So what happens is, let me explain this. So when you create a migration in Entity Framework, this is the name it knows and what version you're on. So as you can see now, within our projects, we now have migrations. We've done our initial first migration. And that is what we've hooked it to a database. And it's created our models, it's created our cars, which at the moment has nothing in. So the next test we'll do is actually try and create a car in the front end and see what we get in the back end. So again, we've got basic information on cars. So let's do start, debug, start new instance. And I'll just do is it's going to run up, bring it up there. So what we have is our service. So let's do try it out. Let's call this BMW. Let's BMW. And the model is a 7 Series. It's got 4 wheels and it's titanium white. Haven't spelled that. And then reg is XS45. Let's see what happens when we do this next. So thinking about it, we've got a database. 1. So what we've just done, here we go, is if we refresh that now, there you go. So we've hooked our Entity Framework core clean architecture solution up to a database. We've then created our migrations. We've actually, in the front end, added a car. So that is pretty much test that this particular use case is working. And I think that is a nice place to end this video. So if you're stuck on anything, just follow this through again, but you'll get the idea that you set your connection string up, use Entity Framework to do your migrations, and this is called a code first approach. So code first is where you do everything in code. You don't write anything in SQL effectively. You don't go off and create loads of store procedures and that. And then database first is where you have a database that's pre-configured that you want to use Entity Framework and you can migrate it into a clean solution. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it very useful. The next video in the series will be looking at a Blazor application. So thank you very much and thank you so much for watching again.